I chose to research and report on the director, James Cameron. He was born in Ontario, Canada on August 16, 1954. He moved to the U.S. in 1971. James majored in physics at California State University, and then drove truck for a living while he was trying to become a screenwriter. His professional film job was as art director, miniature set builder, and process projection supervisor on Roger Corman's Battle Beyond the Stars. In the following year, he debuted as a director with The Spawning. In 1984, James Cameron wrote and directed The Terminator. This was a futuristic action thriller starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Biehn, and Linda Hamilton. This movie was a huge success. Soon after that came a string of science fiction films, such as Alien, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. These films were also very successful and made Cameron one of the most sought-after directors in Hollywood. His films usually feature strong female characters. His frequent casts are Michael Biehn, Jeanette Goldstein, Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Often, James Cameron features shots of large explosions, crashes, gunshots, etc. in the background, with people running away in the foreground. These shots were used heavily in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and True Lies, but also in other films. James Cameron utilizes slow motion in intense scenes to intensify the scene.
Did I read correctly that you wanted to wait till the technology really could meet the needs of what your creative vision was?
Sure, because we didn't want to do the movie with people in makeup trying to pretend to be 10-foot tall aliens. Mm-hmm. It just didn't feel right.
Right.
We wanted to use computer animation to do it, but we wanted it to be an actor-driven process.
And the unfortunate thing about it is because there is so much technology involved, I normally am adverse to any technologically driven film.
Exactly.
I go the opposite direction. There is a rather spectacular story in the middle of this.
Sure. I mean, everybody's talking about the technology, or was talking about the technology, until they saw the movie.
Right.
Once they've started to see the movie, reviewers and so on, people coming out, such as yourself, have been talking about the emotionality of the film, and the power of the story, and all these things, which is, of course, what we always wait for.
Something you notice in many of James Cameron's movies is a fluorescent light hanging from the ceiling. Here's a scene showing James Cameron's use of special effects.
Schwarzenegger takes to the air to rescue his daughter from the terrorist leader Jim was pushing was, you have to believe, the audience has to believe that Arnold's flying this jet.
To film much of the movie's climactic fight between Tasker and Aziz, Cameron and Bruno elected to move outside the security of a soundstage and shoot atop a 20-story building in downtown Miami.
When you move out of the clinical laboratory environment of a soundstage, you're subject to all the forces of nature. Wind, rain, overcast, changing light during the day. One we didn't really think of, which was lightning, except that when we went down there to scout the location, and we went up on the roof, and there were lightning rods every 6 feet all the way around the roof. We went, things that make you go,
For the rooftop shots, a 47-foot-long mock-up of the Harrier jet was constructed from fiberglass panels supported by a steel substructure. To achieve the airplane's dynamic movement, Bruno relied on motion control technology. The heart of any motion control system is a computer, which can be programmed to relay information to motors that move a prop or a camera. For True Lies, the computer controlled a 20,000-pound hydraulically driven motion base, on top of which was mounted the 7,000-pound model of the Harrier. The motion base was capable of tilting 60 degrees in any direction. Because all the movements of the motion base were stored in the computer, a sequence of moves could be precisely repeated. A large construction crane was erected on the rooftop, from which a remote-controlled camera crane was suspended. For the next 10 days, the motion base performed as designed, repeating moves that allowed the filmmakers complete control and predictability.
They gave the director the freedom of saying that all he had to concentrate on was performance, and maybe you want to change the camera position from time to time, but the machine and the plane, it did the same thing every time.
the second the motion base starts, watch where the camera goes. I'm like off the plane.
Well, at first everybody was kind of nervous because of the scale of this whole thing. You know, it was a 20,000-pound motion base and 7,000-pound jet on the top of a roof with these huge hydraulic systems, you know, spinning around and moving around. You know, I overheard Arnold say to Jim, he goes that, you know, Jim says, this is the money. I mean, he's sitting in the jet. So this is the money. This is where the money is. This is great. I overheard that, and that sort of relaxed me because I was like stressed a little bit.
Here we go, and bring the plane to life.
The Miami skyscraper could not be used for shots looking down on the aircraft, as the rooftop would be seen. So the filmmakers moved the jet and motion base to a Los Angeles airport hangar, where a giant green screen had been installed. The green screen process allows a foreground object to be combined with a separate background image. The final shots come together in the digital domain computers, where the green screen is replaced with a Miami skyline, making the Harrier appear to hover over the city. For added realism, rippling heat signatures from jet exhaust are digitally simulated and tracked into the image. The films of director James Cameron have been recognized for their groundbreaking special effects. But no matter how elaborate the visual effects are, he sees them as merely a tool, never to upstage the story.
The goal is to sort of submerge yourself in a fantasy where things appear to be really happening. So maybe it's a stunt, maybe it's an effect, you don't care, it looks real.